President had. I don't know if anybody ever thinks through the process, but after they get up here and they paid some coyote to get them here, you know, they work here and they make some money and they send some money back to their family back in Mexico. And you know what ends up happening? Christmas comes. They can't go home. And you know what? You know what it would be like to be in a foreign country, probably not be able to speak the language, and be away from your family? You know, this has got to change. This is ridiculous. These people need to be treated like human beings. When we need some answers about this. This is absurd. This has been going on for 50 years now. You know, we had a program. Maybe it wasn't perfect. It was called the Bracero program. They come up here and worked. What's the matter with the temporary program until you politicians get your act together? Can't we get the people up here to do the jobs that we need, and without making them into a bunch of criminals, for God's sakes? I don't understand it.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with everything you've said. I am co-sponsor of the Ag Jobs Bill, which would allow those guest workers to come in. It would also allow any of the workers that are here to get what they call sort of a neutral or temporary status.
Good.
Would protect them until they could apply for a green card. But this is only going to come about if we can tackle this immigration reform bill. And right now, and I really appreciate you standing up here and saying this. You've been in this valley a long time, and you've seen a lot of activity in this valley. And frankly, we need business leaders like you to speak to some of the conservative members, because they're blocking this immigration reform and making all kinds of false claims. And we need the business community, and particularly the farming community, to speak to that. We have all the Democrats in California supporting immigration reform, and all the Republicans in California opposing it.
By the way, not all
the California legislators.
Not all the people that come up here from Mexico want to become citizens of the United States. I can tell you that for a fact.
Well, you don't have to be
That's what I mean.
To be legal in the United States, you need a green card to be legal. You don't have to choose to be a citizen. That's a choice you make. You don't want to force people into citizenship.
And I have one more question. Who is Van Jones?
Yeah.
Is the Green Czar.
Green jobs are.
The socialist, communist.
Well,
That's right.
Let me say, Bob.
let me just say something about all these
You guys
czars.
try to go for
They
it.
use these words. Look, only Congress can give authority and power to people. We have never given any authority or power to any
You need
czar.
to change that. Yeah, you need to change it.
Are we back together now?
The president has been appointing people. I don't know why they picked the czar, but it was probably a word to try to do it, because to give some significance to it. You've got a lot of government out there. You got state, local, and federal government. A lot of federal government. And when you're trying to pull everybody together in one tent to try to figure out what's all going on, you can't do it with the secretary of this department because you now got another secretary. They've got to run their departments. Essentially, everybody's got to do their job. There is nobody who can just sort of be outside of that and pull everybody together. So whenever we have these big crises now, we try to get an administrator, somebody just to get everybody in the room to discuss and figure out how to fix the things that are broken. They have no power to enact law. They have no power to put anybody in jail. They have no power to do anything other than to bring to the president's attention, here, Mr. President, I've looked at all this, and here's what we've got to do to fix it. And then he has got to come to Congress and ask us for the authority or the money to do it. So we do have I think if the word wasn't czar and we called them gurus, or I don't know what you call them, ombudsman or directors, maybe it would settle a lot of the concern down. But I didn't choose those names, and we didn't put it in the bills.
They had the power to fire the CEO of General Motors.
Czars are essentially advisors to the president.
Thank you, Sam, for being willing to be on the hot seat. My name's Bob Fitch. I'm a senior citizen in Watsonville. I would like you, if you might, take a moment to describe the benefits that are provided to you and your colleagues in the health benefits to you and your colleagues in the Congress and Senate, and how those benefits compare to the public option that's being proposed.
Good question. Let me describe both. As a state employee, when I was elected to serve this county in the California legislature, or even when I was a county supervisor in Monterey County. California public employees have a statewide organization, Public Employees Association, that goes to insurance companies and say, you know, you add them all up, probably millions, we have millions of customers out there that might be interested in buying your insurance. Kaiser Insurance, Blue Cross Insurance, Aetna Insurance, whatever. And if you want to be in the booklet that sells, that they can choose from, you've got to provide a basic package, and here are the things you've got to provide. You can do all kinds of options. You can do vision care, dental care, you can do other things. So they all kind of interview with the Employees Association and meet the test. Then they go into a booklet. And as a state employee, you look through that book and you look at it to the county you live in and say, what are companies that are on this list doing business in Santa Cruz County? And then you choose. And when I was in the state legislature, I chose Blue Cross. When I got to Congress, they gave me a booklet and said, here's the same thing you probably had in California, only it's only for federal employees. And I went down the list, and I said, well, there's the same things I had in California, only the costs in Washington are a little bit more and the benefits are less. I'm like, well, that's what I had to choose from. And I chose, again, Blue Cross. That's essentially an exchange, because all of the insurance options are there. Now, why do you hear, so I don't know who started several campaigns ago, say we want to have everybody in the United States have insurance and have care just like congressmen. Well, if they got up and said, you know, we want them to have just like a postal worker, nobody would have thought anything of it. But my insurance is no different than any other federal employee that's in this room, and or state employee who knows this thing. What we're proposing is that because you're going to insure everybody, now we can include millions and millions of Americans that are essentially in this pool. And you buy insurance much cheaper when you're a huge pool. Guess what? As an employee of the state or federal government, when I go choose Blue Cross, they don't call me up and say, well, Mr. Farr, you're 68 years old. We'd like you to go down and take a physical exam. Would you please give us the total history of your family? And have you ever been sick and had problems before? I don't have to do it. They're not allowed to ask about pre-existing conditions. Now, if a doctor wants to know those things, they can ask you for just their medical history, but not the insurance company. So these big group plans are essentially kind of what we're trying to have for the nation, is allow everybody to get into a big group like that. And you can't ask about whether they have a pre-existing condition. And guess what? They can't cut me off from my insurance. But I have to pay extra for vision, and I have to pay extra for teeth. That's why they're not so good, because I don't pay them. Does that answer your question? That is the congressional health care.